Hello and welcome to my second update video on the Russo-Ukrainian war. Today is Thursday, the 28th of April 2026, and we will discuss the newest developments on the front line after the intro. We have no important updates from the Zaporizhia front line. Because of that, we will move on to Pokrovsk and Khryzhny, where Russia was able to advance further into the village. Only the northernmost part of the village remains in the gray zone. The other parts are conquered by Russian infantry, and it is likely that Khryzhny is already fallen. If not, it will fall pretty soon, I think. The Russians were also able to take some houses in Novo-Alexandrivka. The whole village is in the gray zone, but there is still fighting ongoing in the rest of this small village. Although the Russians were able to capture some houses, most of the town is still under Ukrainian control and will remain, I think. We will move on to the Pokrovsk direction, where the Russians were able to take some territory west of Mirnograd and north of Pokrovsk. These are not big advancements, likely only parts of the gray zone where Russians were already present a few weeks ago, but now this is corrected and the front line is moved to the area where it belongs. Ukraine is still half encircled here, but I think the situation is stable and under control. We will see how it develops and if the Ukrainians can hold on to this position. In Rodynsk, there's still heavy fighting ongoing, but the Russians were able to take some houses for themselves. Already at the weekend, they were able to capture some streets, and today there was a new advancement in the center of the village. Heavy fighting in Rodynsk continues, and I don't see that the Russians are able to conquer this town very soon. We will move on to other areas, the area of Kostiantinywka. There the Russians made an advancement towards Stepanivka. Most of the village is currently in the gray zone. Some parts are still fully under Ukrainian control, but Russian troops are continuously advancing into the village and heavy fighting continues there. I don't think that Stepanivka is fallen at this point, but Ukrainians are under pressure there. Also a small development in the direction of the village Novodmitrivka. The Russians were able to reach the outskirts of this village and were eliminated there by Ukrainian forces. However, the advancement in the gray zone continues, where the Russians were able to advance some 300 meters in the dachas of Kostiantinywka. The southern part of Kostiantinywka today remains mostly in the gray zone. The southernmost part is actually controlled by Russia, but Kostiantinywka is still a Ukrainian stronghold, and I don't think that the Ukrainians will have to retreat from there very soon. We will move on to Russo-Alexandrivka, where I said it would not be surprising if Russia takes more territory here. We haven't seen this yet. The gray zone remains very large because Russian troops very often reach the outskirts of Russo-Alexandrivka, or at least come close to the village of Russo-Alexandrivka. To this point, the Ukrainians are able to hold the front line there, and there are no updates about any Russian advancements on this part of the front line. Yeah, there are no updates in most of the Luhansk region, but there is a very big development north of Kupiansk. 2 days ago, the Russians were able to advance in Synkivka, and yesterday they made a very, very big advancement. This is a 2 kilometers advancement, at least 2 kilometers, maybe 3 kilometers, towards Petropavlivka. The village of Synkivka, which was contested since the year 2022, has fallen now to the Russians after almost 4 years of continuous fighting. It was one of the villages where Ukrainians and Russians had fought the most time in this war, and now the Russians were able to take control. This is a bad development for Ukraine, as the Russians are now able to push deeper into the Kupiansk direction. I think also that this is the newest attack direction for the Russians, because they tried it west of Kupiansk and failed. So now they are trying to move to the city from the east. Petropavlivka is fully in the gray zone. The situation there remains unclear. I think that Ukrainians are still present there, but I can't tell if this is true or not, because we have to see how the situation there develops. From the other parts of the front line, there are no updates. The situation in Kharkiv and Sumy is stalemate, and no side can advance there. I want to talk quickly about airstrikes, and I want to mention only one. Ukraine again attacked the city of Tuapse at the Black Sea coast and hit again the oil refinery that is present there. So the Russians have now to deal with even more damage in the city, and I don't think that the oil refinery in Tuapse will be functional very soon again. I think the Russians will have very large problems with that. Anyway, this was everything for the situation on the front line in Ukraine in this week. We will speak again on Sunday. I want to bring these videos on Sunday, but I don't have a lot of time at the moment, so it can be at different dates sometimes. This video comes on Thursday, but I think the next update will be on Sunday, where we will discuss new developments on the front line and new updates in general about the war in Ukraine. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to this channel. It would help me a lot, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.